Okay. We will be doing audit of fiscal year 2013. We do have available as well, if for any further questions, we have Karen Meyer and Brian Calamar from Plant Moran, if we have any further questions that Aaron may not be able to answer. So with that, I know he's got a few slides. We will turn it over to Aaron.
All right. Thank you. A couple of just quick general comments before I get to the report itself. I'd like to thank April and Brian and Karen for their courtesy, cooperation, and assistance. I thought the field work went very well this year, especially considering the transition that you went through to the contracted finance director position. But I thought everything went very well, and really appreciate all the help that we received while we were here. What I plan to do is highlight what I think are the key areas. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me. We can go through those at any time. So with that, in the independent auditor's report, or the financial statement document, just past the table of contents, we have the independent auditor's report itself, and there were some new auditing standards that were effective for this year's audit. And so the language that's used and some of the formatting that you see in the independent auditor's report has changed from previous years. We now have headings to highlight various topics that are covered in the independent auditor's report, but what doesn't change is that the financial statements are management's responsibility. Our responsibility as the auditor is to provide opinions on the financial statements themselves.
Oh, good reading material.
Thank you. Yeah, you need those.
My one job and I failed.
Well, we can get 3 votes real quick.
Yeah.
So with the change in the format and the language, the independent auditor's report is now 2.5 pages long. Starting on page Roman numeral 1 and going to Roman numeral 3. But on page 2, at the top of the page, we have the basis for qualified opinion on the governmental activities. The auditing standards require that your other post-employment benefits plan have an actuarial report at least every 2 years, and one was not obtained. And for that reason, we had to qualify our opinion on the governmental activities financial statements. So that is on the top of page Roman numeral 2. We have the basis for the qualified opinion, and then following that section, we have the qualified opinion itself on the governmental activities. And then following that section, everything else in your financial statements received an unmodified opinion. That's a different term than what was used in the past. We used to call it unqualified. Now we call it unmodified. But everything else other than the governmental activities received an unmodified opinion. In addition to the new auditing standards, there were also several new accounting standards that were effective for this year's audit, and that's discussed in the next section down. GASB Statements 61, 63, and 65 were implemented for this year's audit, or this year's financial statements. What I'd like to do is focus on the general fund presentation, or the fund level presentation, excuse me.
Can I ask a question? Is the reason that we didn't complete the post-benefits analysis because of the transition in the finance officer? Is it a timing issue, or?
I think a little bit of both. Whatever, just to clarify with the OPEB that both Karen and I have put measures in place to ensure that that doesn't happen again for future years. So.
When do we anticipate it will be completed?
It should be completed in the next couple of weeks, actually. So we were hoping to get it in by the December 31st deadline, but we probably won't be able to make that.
Is that something that we would still send to the auditors anyway, so that even though it didn't make this report, it would be
it would be used for next year's report, yes, but it's a little late this year, and it's just a little late to get it in there. But
yeah.
Okay.
So we apologize for that.
So beyond the independent auditor's report, the rest of the Roman numeral page numbers make up the MD&A, the management's discussion and analysis. And we don't audit the MD&A. We audit the financial statements themselves. So if you'll flip past that, pages 1 and 2 are what we refer to as the government-wide financial statements. But as I said, I'd like to focus on the fund level financial statement presentation, which starts on page 3 for the governmental funds.
Actually, you guys have 2 different packets. One is a very skinny one, and one is a thicker one, and he is on the thicker one.
Yes.
It says financial statements on the front.
Yep.
So on page 3, we have the balance sheet, and this is a snapshot as of June 30th, 2013. of the assets, liabilities, deferred inflows of resources, and fund balances for the governmental funds. And I'd like to focus on the general fund in the left-hand column as the operating fund for the city, and specifically fund balance. The second number from the bottom in the left-hand column, $6,142,556. That's your total fund balance as of June 30th for the general fund. Now, several portions of that have been earmarked for various reasons and purposes, but what is the combination of the assigned and unassigned is what we refer to as the unrestricted fund balance. So the third and fourth numbers from the bottom, the $9,783 and the $5,519,000 make up the unrestricted fund balance, and that total is $5,529,046. And I compare that with your annual expenditures and other financing uses, and that $5.5 million represents approximately 30% of your annual expenditures for the fiscal year June 30, 2013. Generally, I recommend a minimum of 20%. The GFOA recommends a minimum of 2 months' worth of operations. 2 divided by 12 is about 17%. So I'm a little more conservative than the GFOA minimum recommendation, but you're at 30%. You're exceeding both of mine and the GFOA's recommendations. On page 5, we have the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the year that ended June 30, 2013. And again, just to highlight some of the key areas, focusing on the general fund in the left-hand column, total revenues $18,281,904, about a third of the way down the page. That is a decrease of about 5% from the previous year. So you have about $1 million less in revenue than what you had for 2012. Under the expenditures, just below the middle of the page, $17,245,365. That is slightly higher, but it's less than 1% higher than 2012's expenditures. As you read down the column, the third number from the bottom, the net change in fund balance, you added to fund balance ever so slightly, $8,262. For the year that ended June 30, 2012, you added $1.2 million. Because I know not everyone is used to reading financial statements, I did bring the charts and graphs with me to highlight a few things. The first one that I have is a 5-year bar graph that details the general fund revenues and other financing sources, expenditures and other financing uses, and then total fund balance is the yellow bar. And as you can see, you added to fund balance in 2011, 12, and slightly in 13, and you used fund balance in 2009 and 2010. But what's important here is that over the course of the 5-year period, you've maintained a stable fund balance. You're currently at about 30%, and that's excellent financial condition. On the next page, we've got a couple of pie charts that detail the composition of your general fund revenues and expenditures. The revenues on the top pie chart, largest source of revenue is, of course, property taxes at 52%. That was 52% for 2012 as well. That's followed by intergovernmental, which would include federal, state, and local sources of revenue. That's at 19% for 2013. It was at 20% for 2012. So fairly consistent from year to year with the composition of the revenue, and fairly consistent with the composition of expenditures. For 2013, public safety is at 62%. In the previous year, you're at 64%. That's followed by general government at 25% for 2013. It was 24% for 2012. Because of the level of expenditures that you had for federal awards, you were also required to have what we call a single audit or an audit in accordance with OMB Circular A133. That's the smaller document that we have. And again, just to highlight a few things here, page 3 is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, or the CEFA as we call it. Total expenditures $525,102. The bad news is the threshold for a single audit is $500,000. So, but the single audit does require additional reporting that we provide to you. The report on compliance and internal control over compliance with major federal programs can be found on pages 1 and 2. That is required by OMB Circular A133. The report on internal control over financial reporting is required by the Yellow Book or government auditing standards. That can be found on pages 5 and 6. The reports themselves, the language has again been changed slightly, a new format, but largely boilerplate language in those reports. Both of them refer to the schedule of findings and question costs on page 7, which summarizes, section 1 summarizes the auditor's results. So again, I'll just kind of quickly go through this. On page 7, section 1, summary of auditor's results, under financial statements, we did have to issue that qualified opinion because of the OPEB actuarial report not being done. We had 3 findings that were related to the financial statements this year, and they're described in section 2, which follows. Under federal awards, we had no findings or issues related to the federal award programs or the expenditures or the controls over those programs. We issued an unmodified opinion on compliance over the major federal programs. The program we did test as major is the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, CFDA 97.044. You did qualify as a low-risk auditee for 2013. You will not be able to retain that status for 2014 because of the findings, but you did have it for 13. And the 3 findings that were noted, management has responded. We've included the corrective action response to each of those findings, and they've all been addressed at this point. There's been progress made on all 3 of them, and I have no doubt that they'll be completely resolved by the time we're here next year.
Other than the indication here on the summary, what's the significance of having a qualified opinion in both these audits?
Well, you only have a qualified opinion on the financial statement piece. It could potentially have an impact on your bond rating. I don't know that it will. You do have an estimate in there for your OPEB obligation. You did use an estimate, but it wasn't based on an actuarial study, and that's what GAAP requires. That's what the accounting standards require. It will get flagged by the state. You'll get a letter from them. But again, you've got the corrective action response in your finding, so that should be sufficient for their purposes. There's a red flag to it, definitely. But as I said, I think the issue's well underway. It'll be taken care of, and it'll be cleaned up by next year.
Is there an opportunity to do some sort of supplementary audit to show that these have been in fact put in place, these controls?
You could, but it would be late. So it would be, we could reissue financial statements, but it would be after the deadline, so then you'd have another issue. We could have held off and not issued finals until January, but then it wouldn't have met the state's deadline. We'd have had to include a different finding or another finding.
Okay. All right, so wait until next year and then report it.
That would be my recommendation. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions of Aaron? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. City Manager, anything else to add on the audit?
No.
All right.
No, like I just said, we did put measures in place to ensure that the OPEB valuation is done in the appropriate time frame.
Looks good.
Okay. Next item of business is call to audience. Is there anyone that would like to address the audience on just this portion of the...
Make a motion to approve.
Oh, well, that would be appropriate, wouldn't it? Thank you, Dan. That's fine. Yes, a motion to accept the audit would be in order.
I move to accept and file the financial statements and other supporting documents received from Abraham and Gaffney for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2013.
Support?
Moved by Piana, supported by Galloway. Any last discussion? Sherilyn, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. The audit is adopted or received. Then next and last item of business is the call to audience. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address council this evening? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. But we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Oh, we can't go?
Pardon me?
We can't go?
No. Oh. You can go for 10 minutes.
Oh.
That's all you get. Quick bathroom break if you like. There you go. said that's the tie he wore for his first meeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How's he doing that?
I know you don't know about ties, but, you know.
No, that we got a size 19.
You know, the Ferndale City Council is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sherilyn, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Galloway,
Here?
Lennon,
Here.
Martin, Piana. Here. Mayor Coulter.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum this evening. Unfortunately, Councilman Martin's mother is ill, and he's up in Bay City taking care of his mom this evening, so he can't be with us today. I would entertain a motion to excuse his absence.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second. Unanimous support. Thank you, everybody. The next item of business would be the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
Me now? Okay. I do request that we remove from consent agenda item letter B. We want to review the survey that we did regarding the meeting times and such, and review that a little further and give council all that information before you make that decision. So I talked to Sherilyn, and there's no problem pulling that. We will put it back on the January 13th meeting.
Okay. Anything else on the agenda this evening? All right, a motion would be in order. Scott, we're going to let you do all the motions.
Okay. I would move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Piana. Any other discussion on that? Sherilyn?
Councilmembers Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. The agenda is adopted. And now that we've adopted the agenda, I'm going to mess with it just a little bit, because as you can tell, there wasn't a coup when Scott took over the gavel. Councilman Galloway, this is going to be his final meeting after 12 years serving the citizens of Ferndale as a city council person. And so, I want to give council and staff an opportunity to just say a few things. But first, I know there are some folks in the audience that would also like to make a few comments. So if you would like, if you're here because you want to say a few words about Councilman Galloway, this would be a great opportunity to come on up and just let us know your thoughts. But don't embarrass Scott and no one come up, because that would be...
Honorable Mayor,
How are you,
members of the
sir?
City Council, residents of Ferndale et al. My name is Larry Galloway. I live at 14 Cambridge in Pleasant Ridge. My wife is here, and Scott's extended family. When Scott graduated from Indiana University with his jurisprudence, one of his professors addressed the class and charged them with giving back to their community. And I would suggest that Scott has done that very thoroughly. And this is not the only volunteer efforts that he makes. This, I guess, is not complete a volunteer, because I think he does get paid a little, but it's near. So to commemorate his 12 years and to just recognize his effort, if I could approach the...
Of course you may, yes.
Make a presentation.
Please do. Oh. Thank you very much. I guess we're going to have to wait in suspense to find out what that is. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. I'm Richard Elling. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife Sandy and I, who are almost 32-year residents of Ferndale. I haven't known Scott for that long, but I have known him in a variety of settings for a number of years. And as someone who's now a retired political scientist from Wayne State, I just want to say that I've been much impressed over the years by Scott's committed, conscientious, and constructive service on the council. I've lived here long enough to have been able to observe a number of city councils over the years, and every council person's been wonderful, but Scott's been especially wonderful. And we're just, I'm glad he has a little more time for his family now and his law practice, and I assume also skiing. So congratulations, Scott.
Thanks, Rich.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Tamika Gumbleton. Well, Scott, congratulations. I've been with you as a friend for a long time and fortunately as a council member as well. And what I'd like to acknowledge about Scott's a very thoughtful person. He's very committed. He's very thorough in what he does, and he brings a lot of integrity. But with that integrity, he brings a real thoughtfulness to the community and how to give back and how to make a difference and really how to make things better. And at times, it takes courage to make some of those decisions and choices. And he's always been really clear with the community and working with them and making a difference. And when there's an opinion that's been made that maybe there's some disagreement with, he's been able to get out there and talk to people and really show them why he voted that way. And over the years, you've made so many differences. You can look around the room, you can look around the city, you can look around the state of the people that you've impacted, you've mentored, lives that you've helped encourage, including my own in getting into politics. Your wonderful wife, your new son, he's not so new anymore, but I mean, he went through a campaign season, came right out before you got reelected. So, I mean, it's just been wonderful. Your mom was my son's teacher. So just all the ways that your family and you have contributed to the community. And not to mention, you know, the gifts you've done at church as well, in your church community. And I personally would like to thank you for your friendship and your support. And I speak with great gratitude, all you've given to the city and just the impact from the bike lanes to bringing that legal mind to the votes and helping us on council look at it in a different perspective. And being willing to work it out if we don't agree on something. So, I mean, it's been really powerful. And your friendship has been wonderful, and the city has truly benefited having you here. And you'll be missed.
Thanks, Tamika.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I like the shirt.
Thank you very much. It's been about 12 years since I wore it. My name is Howard Collins. I live at 13102 Nadine in Huntington Woods. I am proud to say I'm Scott's law partner. Scott, 12 years of doing anything, let alone something that's volunteer, that takes away from your personal and your work life. You should be commended for the work that you've done. Your earnest efforts through big, challenging projects, the economic times that we've all lived through, you've set the standard, I think, for in this city for getting through those troubling times and setting things on a better footing going forward. You've taken continued interest in the large picture and in the small challenges that individuals in this town face, taking personal interest when you've come across people who are struggling for a variety of reasons and reaching out to them. I know that this council that you've sat on for the last 12 years has made a difference both in the city and in the larger community, and so I thank you for the work that you've done.
Thanks, Howard, for your support.
Bridget, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Coulter and my council friends and Councilman Galloway. I was sent here today.
Hey, there's another one. They really are still around.
In a 12-year-old T-shirt with Howard's, fashion sense there too. My husband Kevin Deegan Kraus, who serves on the school board, couldn't be here tonight. He's ill, but he wanted to send me in his favorite T-shirt.
All right.
And I love seeing him in this T-shirt because it's a reminder of all the good things we do shoulder to shoulder as a community. And we just want to extend our gratitude from the Deegan Kraus household for your generous spirit, your faithfulness, and for having our backs, literally and figuratively. But most of all, perhaps, for your commitment to the common good. And in this day and age, I don't know that we see that often enough, and your deep sense of that is really something we admire and aspire to. So thank you for your leadership.
Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. I was going to stay home and cocoon in this cold night, but I saw a posting from Kate Baker talking about the celebration in Scott Galloway's honor, and I just wanted to be part of the celebration. More importantly, thank you for all that you've done. I understand what it is to serve the public. It takes a lot of compassion, energy, time, and so forth. Thank you for all that you've given to this wonderful community.
Thank you, Elaine.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Ann Perry, 35 Devonshire in Pleasant Ridge, and a Pleasant Ridge City Commissioner. And I just want to thank Scott Galloway. I'm sure you were a wonderful resident when you were a resident in Pleasant Ridge.
I did my
but
best.
you are a wonderful neighbor, and we just want to thank you very much for that. And, you know, and we are such a close community, all of us. It's great all working together. So I just want to thank you for always making that possible. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, former colleagues.
Good evening. Good to see, always good to see you.
I feel like I could just come take my old chair. I learned when Tomiko left that I'm not particularly good at these things, so I wrote it down, Scott. And I just have to say thank you to Scott Galloway. Scott is someone that I have learned from, someone I've strategized with, someone I have bargained with and argued with, but always someone that I've deeply respected. Scott is the person who passed me this note in June of 2007, which I have kept. It says, Kate Baker, are you interested in running for city council? You changed my life for the better in countless ways. And I just want to say a big personal thank you for your service to our city, for being an example of a parent who balances work, home, and public service, for being a courageous voice for change, and for being a very true and loyal friend. And I look forward to our next adventure.
Anyone else? All right, then we'll take our turn. And we have a couple of things for you as well, Scott. We weren't going to let you leave without gifts. So, Melanie, why don't you start with the first one?
Right. So, on behalf of City Council and the city, I would like to present you this gift. You can always tell when your gift is wrapped by Jim Piana, not Melanie Piana, because his are cooler. Just pull that tab.
Oh. So it'll open right up.
So with the help of your wife, Robin, and Tomiko, we compiled a photo book spanning your 12 years on City Council. And I was sort of the lead of this project, and I just wanted to sort of remind folks some of the highlights that I think are important for the city, besides the redevelopment of our downtown and making the city go green and leading a lot of green policies. For me, and it's already been mentioned a little bit here through Kate Baker, for me, Scott has led and helped women get elected in Ferndale and have women have a voice. And through Tomiko Gumbleton, Kate Baker, and myself, and helping hire our first female city manager, it's been amazing to me to see someone of your gender help women get elected. And Scott said to me, he goes, women change the tenor of council. And so I'm really happy to present that photo book on your behalf. I think you'll be interested in some of the quotes. It has the human rights ordinance passing. It has the the old court, the new court, the old library, the new library, old West 9 Mile and the new West 9 Mile. So lots of great photos spanning your 12 years on council.
That's great. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it.
And I believe Councilman Lennon has something else to present to you,
Well,
Scott.
Scott, I do remember you giving me something in September. I really enjoyed myself. I think it's the integrity. Hey, thank you, Jersey. Scott and I have sat up on this table for a long time. When it's all said and done, it'll be 10 years. And
Joe wants a picture. Hang on.
And I first remember Scott and first met Scott when he was running with my brother. And since then, Scott's commitment to the city, his thoughtfulness, his compassion for the residents and the business owners, and not afraid to make a tough decision. Scott is not. And I appreciate that. It has not gone unnoticed. And I'm sure we'll see you, Robin, and Jack around town.
We're sticking around, yeah.
We've had a lot of good times up here. We've had some humorous events happen up here.
Hi,
We'll talk about it right
Yeah.
now. Hi, Sherilyn. But that's inside joke.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyways, I wish you well, Scott.
Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
We'll see you around. I'll see you shoveling snow.
That's it. Yeah,
Right
help you
around
out
the corner
there.
there.
Right around
Yeah.
the corner. Keeping tabs.
So they got the fun things to give you. I have a proclamation. You've probably heard a number of these over your career, but none to you, so I will actually read it. And that is, Mayor Dave Coulter, on behalf of Ferndale City Council, extends the city's deep appreciation to Scott Galloway for his dedicated service to the city of Ferndale as a member of the City Council from 2002 to 2013. Scott Galloway has served the city with enthusiasm and integrity throughout his 3 terms on City Council. His unwavering commitment is evident in the effort he put forth to fully understand the complex issues facing the city and making educated decisions as a conscientious steward of the city's resources. His legacy will be as a champion and fighter for a progressive vision for Ferndale, of what Ferndale could be, and the passion and commitment to make it a reality. Scott Galloway is a credit to this community, and it is with heartfelt appreciation that we celebrate his achievement and thank him for 12 years of dedicated service representing the residents of Ferndale. So we'll add that to your pile of stuff. And I would just add that Scott, you know, I've known you for a long time now. You ran the year before I did, so we've been political friends and personal friends for a long time. You've been I've said this before, but you've been a progressive voice when it wasn't always easy in this town, and you've been a solid voice, and the respect I think that you enjoy in the community has been earned over time as people understand that you make decisions based on integrity, and that's a credit to you. And you're also, for me, my favorite kind of politician in that you didn't necessarily grab onto the flashy and sexiest issues all the time, but you really put your nose to the grindstone and worked on things like master plans and ordinance committees and the really tedious but important work of being a public servant that didn't always get noticed, but got noticed by me and the folks who do this work. So I expect to see you around. We'll call on you for your advice and counsel in the future, but congratulations on a great career.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it.
I'm going to let you have the last word.
Well, yeah, I had some prepared comments, but I think I'm going to put those aside. You know, I think politics gets a bad name a lot of times, and certainly there's some reasons for that, I suppose, at different levels. But over the past 12 years and really 14 years of serving in different capacities for Ferndale, what strikes me is that politics is all about people. It's about making those connections, being friends, you know, confronting folks who don't see eye to eye with you, trying to persuade them and come together for the better good. And in my time up here, I think we've done a pretty good job at that through different councils and mayors. I don't think we've ever had a council and staff that are as good as this one. I truly mean that. Just everybody up here is a great professional and gives it their all for the city of Ferndale. But we've been able to, I think, build a lot of community here in that sense. And maybe that word gets overused. But in 2001, it wasn't such a tight-knit community, I don't think. There was a lot of factions, you know, east and west, newcomers, old-timers, gay, straight. You know, it's just, and it's really been, I think, a beautiful thing to see the city come together for this, you know, for the greater good, as someone said. So, working together for Ferndale was our theme in 2001, and I think we've done a pretty good job achieving that. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now to the mundane stuff. Council agenda. Thank you. We have some other presentations this evening that we need to get to, and the first one is a little bit on a sadder note, but I'd like to read a proclamation in memory of Norm Van Ness. And so let me read that for you now. At a regular meeting in the City Council of the City of Ferndale, held on the 16th day of December 2013, Mayor Dave Coulter, on behalf of the Ferndale City Council, extends the city's condolences to the family and friends of Norma J. Van Ness. Norma served this city with honor and dedication for many years as an election inspector, was a 20-year resident of the city, and active with the Ferndale seniors. Norma was well known for her determination, perseverance, spunk, and laughter. Her enthusiasm and positive attitude were infectious, and her presence will be sorely missed. Norma Van Ness was a credit to her family and to this community, and it is with deep sorrow that we mourn her loss today. Thank you for allowing me to do that. Our next presentation is the Holiday Beautification Awards, and I believe I saw Anna there. Are you going to do them solo, or are you going to have Peggy help you this evening? All three of you. All right, yes. Come on up, Peggy. I know, right? It is holiday time, and the city is looking beautiful as ever, and our beautification committee is here to reward some of those folks, right?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Most of the time you can't, so, okay. What a beautiful day this was today. I mean, sunshine finally, and boy, it lifted my spirits. It was just wonderful. We have four, actually, let me say what we've got up here right now. We have the three women of the commission, and the three men on the commission were not able to be here tonight, so our apologies for that. We do have four nominations for, or not nominations, but award winners for from each quadrant for the holiday lights. The first one is 1260 West Hazelhurst, and it's owned by Raim and Donna Krajewski. And the nice things about what we just see there is that the peaks are highlighted to define the roof line, and there's precision and a lot of detail in the nativity scene that they have there, and there's a whimsical snowman standing out in front. Very, very, very nicely arranged. Thank you. Next one. The second one, which is in the southeast quadrant of Ferndale, is 609 Ardmore, owned by Edward Albeska. And what you see there are both sides of the house and the roof line are lighted. The center stage, though, is the tree with the ornaments hanging and the lights that are hanging vertically, but they're in a circular pattern all the way around. Next is in the northwest quadrant. That is 631 West Breckenridge, owned by Sebastian Manino. This one has a very highly decorated tree trunk that kind of leads you right into the house, which is decorated with some interesting shapes. There's some sticks. I guess I call them sticks. I don't know. My son called them wands or something. Say something different than that. Don't say sticks, but I did. Anyway, so those sticks are vertical, and the other lights that you see are round, and it adds a little variety there, with a lot of variety, actually, to the shapes to make that scene. And the last one is at 3111 Grayson, and this one looks like, to me, like a picture out of a postcard. Really, really pretty. And this is in the northeast section of Ferndale. The icicles form the peaks of the roof again, and there's color everywhere. Someone got to the top of those trees to decorate them, probably not this last month. I would think it might have been a little bit sooner than that. And this house is owned by Jeffrey and Mary Amsel. I'd like to speak on behalf of all of the people. Oh, Yeah, right, Comos. Comos.
The
sorry
business,
about
the business
that.
award.
Comos, yes, the commercial one, owned by Cecilia Grego. This one is really pretty. It's not only gorgeous inside on a seasonal basis, but on the outside you see this enormous area, takes up a good portion of the block, and it has lights that are draped all the way around the business, and it has 3 different levels of lights too. You see them all the way around the back of the building. Then there are, of course, the spectacular decorations that you find on the inside of the building. That's the end of that part, finally. Sorry, Comos. All right. On behalf of all of the people from the Beautification Commission, we would like to wish a happy and healthy holiday, and we hope that goes into the new year, too, all through 2014. I also believe that Mayor Coulter has...
Yeah, don't leave, ladies. In fact, all 3 of you, if you'd come up and join me.
Okay.
One more thing to do. Is this on? Peggy, you didn't think we were going to let you escape without honoring you as well. If you've watched the city council meetings over the last years, over the last 18, I don't know if you've been have you been doing it at the council meeting for 18 years? For 18 years, Peggy Snow has helped lead our beautification committee and done the sometimes thankless work of riding around the city and identifying the houses and putting the block parties together. And you truly embody the spirit of community and the spirit of volunteerism, and we really appreciate it. So we have a couple of things for you. First of all, from the Beautification Commission itself, they have a plaque honoring your 18 years of service, 1995 to 2013. So first of all, I want to present you with that. It's a beautiful award from the Beautification Commission. And the city, of course, wants to honor you with a resolution as well that I'm going to embarrass you by reading, if you don't mind. So the City of Ferndale proclamation honoring Peggy Snow for dedicated service to the Ferndale Beautification Commission. Mayor David Coulter and the Ferndale City Council extends the city's deep and heartfelt appreciation to Peggy Snow for 18 years of exemplary service to the City of Ferndale Beautification Advisory Commission. Peggy Snow is a credit to this community and a sterling example of the selfless volunteerism which is a hallmark of Ferndale. We celebrate her unflagging commitment and enthusiastic work with the Beautification Commission and wish her well as she seeks out new ways to enhance the vitality of Ferndale. Peggy, thank you very much for it. Joe, did you get a picture? Are we good? Come on in here, ladies. Yeah, we're good.
I just wanted to say, I just found out yesterday, and so I really didn't have anything prepared, but, I've met so many nice people, and Suzanne and Anna, I just love them, and everybody else that I've worked with on the commission over the years. And Cheryl Lynn is wonderful, her staff is always, sometimes we're late getting our stuff in, and really, truly, we all
Peggy,
appreciate that.
you're a sweetheart.
It's not intended that way, but
We
it's
know.
something to work out. And Roseanne at the DPW, who just, she makes sure we can, if I forget to sign the award, she calls and reminds me, and she's just on top of everything. And I've met so many nice residents and everything. It's just really been a real joy. I really enjoy it. And I also like to thank my husband, who, lots of times we have projects. We used to work at the library gardening. He'd always be there helping us, with the heavy work. Suzanne will remember that. The printed exchange, he always goes over and helps us set up the tables, and he comes back, helps us clean up. So he's always been a big, big help to everything that I've been involved with. So he's part of this award, too. So. Thank you.
I really appreciate you. Thank you, Peggy. All right. Our next presentation is the Ferndale Public Schools, and I thought I saw School Board Trustee Amy Butters here to give us an update on what's happening at our schools.
Good evening. I'm Amy Butters. I'm here from the school board. I just have a few things to share with you tonight about what's happening in our school district. First of all, this afternoon I had the opportunity to attend a meeting a presentation put on by the committee called Ferndale Moves. And I am super excited about what is going on with this committee. And so I want to extend my appreciation to the City of Ferndale and the council and everyone involved with this committee. Ferndale Moves is working on making our city better for pedestrians and bicyclists and motorists as well, basically, making our streets more friendly toward all of those. And they have been very good about including the school district in the process, because we have several school buildings, of course, in our community that kids are walking to every day, and not just the kids, but lots of people in our community are using those buildings on a regular basis. And to make it easier to get to and from those buildings, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the group comes up with. They were presenting some of the preliminary ideas today at this presentation today, and I want to express my appreciation for that, for including us in that process, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that all comes together. The second thing on my list is, of course, our strategic plan. I've been coming and talking to you about this for months, and I want to report that our school board has approved our school district's 5-year strategic plan. And I have a copy of it here. It's my own personal copy, so I can't leave it with you, but it's 3 pages, front and back, which is pretty good, I would have to say. I'm pretty impressed with how succinct it is. It gets right to the point. It's got some very specific goals in here with some specific timeline dates. It has our mission and our vision. Achieving quality, achieving equity are 2 of our big ideas that we're putting forth in our strategic plan. And this is going to be available by the week's end on our website. So I encourage you to look for that. There are just a few tweaks that we put into place at our last meeting, and that's being finalized. And so it will be available. And I'm hoping to make sure we get copies to all of you, just so that you have them handy. So I wanted to make sure to report on that. Third on my list is Kindergarten Roundup Night is January 8th, and that's at 5 o'clock starting at Grant Preschool. And our incoming families are all invited to come to that event. The kids and the parents will all have an opportunity to ride a school bus from Grant to our other 2 primary buildings, Kennedy and Roosevelt, and visit those buildings, meet the teachers there, and really get a sense for what kindergarten is about. So that's January 8th, starting at Grant at 5 o'clock. And there's more information, of course, on our website. And also coming up in January 25th, is our All-City Extravaganza, which is an annual event that happens at the high school. That's a Saturday. It happens all day. It's an open house, if you will, for the school district, where you can go and you can see different demonstrations by different groups of our students and teachers. Plus, there's also concerts all day of all our different music groups throughout our district. And it's a great way to learn more about our school district. And I invite you to that event. Lastly, our next meeting of our school board is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at the Harding Administration Building. Those meetings usually are on Mondays, so normally it would have been tonight. We moved it to tomorrow night because there is an orchestra concert tonight at the high school, which I'm going to be scooting out and going to here as soon as I'm finished here. So I'm kind of glad that we moved that meeting so that I could express my appreciation to Councilman Galloway. And I know that everybody already talked about you, Scott, but I wanted to just put in my couple of words. I want to thank you for being supportive of the school district and for being a good advocate for our district. And everybody talked about how you have worked toward working for the greater good. And, of course, the school district is included in that. I know that we haven't seen the last of you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in your next role as dad of a school-aged kid at the Ferndale schools. I'm really excited and seeing you in that new role. good luck with that. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. Our final presentation is the Downtown Development Authority.
I apologize, Mayor. I should have pulled that off the
Pulled that,
agenda.
yeah.
They did let us know earlier today. They would
Okay,
not have
they're
a
not here today,
presentation.
so they got a lot of stuff going on this month, so they're probably busy running activities. All right, that concludes our presentations. Next order of business is we have 3 public hearings this evening. The first one, public hearing A, is the Channing-Silman Alley vacation. And Derek, do you want to introduce that item briefly before I open it up to public comment?
I'd be glad to, Mayor. As council is aware, there was a request from several of the residents that abut a unimproved alley in between Channing and Silman. It abuts both homes just east of Hilton. The residents approached the city and staff about the possibility of vacating it. It's underutilized. It no longer serves any garages or any access to the homes on the rear of the property. All homes are accessed from the front of either Channing and Silman. We did a cursory review and had DPW review the alley as well. As staff, we have absolutely no issue with the vacation of the alley at this point and would recommend that council go ahead and proceed and vacate that alley, and then we'll follow up with the back end of the process.
All right. So at this point, I will open up the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address council on the vacation of the Channing-Silman Alley? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open it up to council. Is there a motion of council on this?
Mayor, before you make the motion,
Yeah.
Derek, the notice requirement, was it published twice?
Correct, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to.
Thank you.
I know a certain individual up here has tickets to a Lions game, so I can real quick make a motion.
Look at his cover there.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're going to tell you we're sick. I'm sorry. I move to adopt the attached resolution vacating the alley between Channing and Silman Streets.
Support.
Moved by Lennon, supported by Galloway. Are there any questions or comments of council on this item? You weren't supposed to rat me out.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
All right.
I'm just jealous.
But seeing I appreciate your work on this, and I appreciate the fact that, this is a good example of being responsive to our residents, and they're the ones that brought this forward, so I appreciate the residents there for coming, and Derek, I appreciate your help in shepherding this through, but makes total sense to me. So, Sherilyn, with that, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Our second public hearing is on the community development.
I just wanted to point out real quickly in relation to Channing as well, we wanted as staff to extend our thank you to Andy Meisner, the treasurer from Oakland County. There was also 2 properties that were in foreclosure on Channing that, as part of this process, were causing neighbors a serious amount of issues over a number of years, and the county stepped up and on their own dime demolished both of those properties. They had fallen back to the city through foreclosure. So this is all part of a process that we hope will improve the Channing Street and Silman Street neighborhood for quite some time. So we just wanted to mention that while we were up here.
That's a great point. The treasurer was very helpful, Andy Meisner,
so.
and you're right. So the next public hearing is on the Community Development Block Grant Program for the year of 2014. Derek, I think this is also your introduction.
It is. Council is aware we do this every year. Each year we're allotted a certain amount of funds from the Community Development Block Grant Program. The funds are administered through Oakland County, in which this year our allotment, we believe, will be $80,388 in total. We are not suggesting any major changes to the program. It's worked well for us over the years in our department. The only changes in previous years to assign any of that money to code enforcement, you were required to keep a certain percentage of that money aside for a minor home repair program. It was a small amount of money. It was a program that was relatively difficult to administer due to income verification and some other things. This year, that requirement has been removed. The county has a very robust repair program that it has always utilized and continues to do, and has more money than the city has. So instead of having a few $1,000s available for minor home repair, we've reprogrammed that money, or recommending that money be reprogrammed into code enforcement, which we believe it can be better utilized. The 3 activities we are proposing to fund this year would be code enforcement at $69,388, public service activity, which is the OLSHA yard services activities, lawn mowing, minor repair, cleanup, and snow removal at the amount of $8,000, which is consistent with the last couple of years, and then Haven at $3,000. So that is what we're recommending, and there's a motion in your packet.
All right, and so now I would like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address council on the Community Development Block Grant Program for 2014? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and I'll open it up to council. Is there...
One quick question for Derek.
Of course.
Derek, did we use all the $8,000 or whatever it was in the previous budget for
Yes.
our service?
Yeah, I believe program year 12, I believe we have $169 left, which we've just submitted a resubmittal to Oakland County for, and then are off on this year's $8,000.
Okay, thank you.
And Derek, I know there are income requirements for that. Are there also age requirements? Is that a senior program, or is that just based on income?
No, it's not just a senior program. Through OLSHA, you do get extra credit if you are a senior, but it is more of an income verification through HUD.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I would move that we approve the CDBG application for program year 2014 with the breakdown for code enforcement, $69,388, public service activity, $8,000, public service activity for battered and abused spouses for $3,000, totaling $80,388, and authorize the mayor to sign the related documents.
Support.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Piana. Any comments or additional comments, questions on this item? All right, Sherlyn, would you call the roll?
Councilmembers Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted.
And thank you. We'd like to say thank you from our staff as well to Councilman Galloway. He's been an unwavering supporter of staff. I know everybody who works for us in Community and Economic Development appreciates the time you've put in, and specifically the amount of support you've shown us. So congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
And our third and final public hearing this evening is a request from Dino Drop, Inc. for a redevelopment Class C liquor license at 177 Vester Street. And who's introducing that
I
item?
can get
Sherlyn?
us started on this.
All right.
We all know Dean Bach, who is redeveloping an establishment at 177 Vester Street and is requesting a redevelopment Class C license for that location. The review committee did meet on December 9th, and we went over Dean's plans for the operation. And he is envisioning primarily a carryout facility for Michigan-based prepared foods. I'll let him describe that a little more. And the review committee as a whole recommended approval, and then as City Attorney Christ reviewed it a little more, he just raised a comment about the possibility, based on the way the new law is written, that Mr. Bach may need an SDM license on top of the Class C license in order to do what he's going to do. And so I just added that to the motion, that it's contingent on the applicant
Contingent on
getting
the SDM.
all of the licensing he needs.
But there's nothing, Dan, that would preclude us from moving forward with this?
No, Your Honor. The way I read the new statute, there is a prerequisite for this unique type of license for the applicant to have an SDM license. So the motion as presented to council would include that additional requirement that the applicant secure that license and any other license necessary from the LCC.
And Dean, before I open it up to public comment, do you want to just briefly describe what your plans are on Vester Street?
Yes, hi. Good evening. The building itself is the old VFW hall on Vester. It's a large building. A large portion of the building is being used to facilitate our carry-out business, or a catering business that we do through Dino's and have been doing for a long time. But there is a small part of the building that we thought would be nice and useful as a carry-out facility for prepared foods, Michigan craft beer, wine, and coffee a carry-out facility with tables and chairs so that people can also sit down and enjoy themselves, much like in a Starbucks situation. So you don't, you walk up to a counter, it's a Starbucks, you don't necessarily have to leave right away. So that's what we're envisioning there. It's going to be very family-friendly. I want it to be part of the neighborhood. That's something that has been part of the vision the entire time. The SDM stamp on the liquor license is something that I've known about. The process, from what I understood, was get the liquor license first, and then you go after the SDM stamp, which is another $70 addition onto a liquor license. That costs much more than that. So that's the vision for the building, and I'm here to field any other questions, comments, or concerns.
Good. Well, at this point, I need to open it up for public comment. So is there anyone from the public that would like to address council on the proposed liquor license this evening? Good evening. Just state your name and address for us, if you don't mind.
My name is Michael Ward. I live at 250 East Breckenridge, which is the house directly behind the VFW Hall, previous VFW Hall. I just wanted to go on record stating sort of some concerns about a couple items, specifically parking, trash, and noise, I guess. Case in point, when Rufino, the Valentine Vodka, applied for his place, you guys gave him pretty much the third degree on all these items, and I just hope that all that stuff is really considered deeply before this goes on. And that's really it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hang on. Is there anyone else who would like to address council on this item this evening? All right, I'll close the public hearing portion. Dean, if you want to, I know you want to address that question.
Just to respond, I take all these things into consideration and have worked really closely with Derek from the city, from economic and community development, and all have been considered. And again, this is more or less it's a carry-out place. We're not opening a nightclub here, and it's not going to be a bar, although we do anticipate some people coming and sticking and staying. Noise and garbage and parking have all been considered, and I do the best I can to make sure that the neighbors are happy. It's the last thing I want is a bad neighbor.
Where are you in the process of sort of the redevelopment of the process?
The kitchen piece, the catering kitchen is finished. We have C of O, and we've been cooking out of that facility now for a couple months. The retail carry-out spot, we're just working on the building now. We just got it to the point where we're putting a new wraparound porch on it, getting the walls straightened out, but we're far off, and we're probably looking at April, May before we consider opening this facility.
And Derek, can I ask you, in terms of, is there a site plan? I don't even know if a site plan is required for this property, but where are we in the process from an internal perspective?
Yeah, there is a site plan required, but it's less than a 10% expansion, so it's an administrative review and approval. Okay. We have looked at it. There's not going to be any additional lighting. Loading and unloading will be done from the front. He is required to construct a trash enclosure consistent with the ordinance requirements. So all the improvements are consistent with the ordinance requirements. So he has gone through that process and received both a building permit and a site plan approval.
All right, could I?
Yes, please, Dan.
During the license review process, the committee suggested that the applicant provide proposed hours to the city. I wasn't sure if I've seen those.
They were supposed to have been inserted.
They're in there.
Yes.
They were. I can't.
For carry-out food on Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. till 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, and 6 p.m. on Sunday. Beer and wine ending at 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday. I'm assuming that's on site.
That's carry-out, yeah. It's all carry-out. All the hours are for carry-out operation.
So you're going to stop cooking at 9 p.m. but still sell beer and wine until 10 p.m.?
During the week, yes.
Okay.
A lot easier to shut down a kitchen that has 10 people in it than it is to stop pouring beer for an extra hour while those people are cleaning up.
All right.
Okay? You okay?
Other questions of council or staff on this?
No, I just comment that I know that I can understand the residents' concern, and Rufino was a new business coming into town, so we had to dot all our i's and cross our t's with him. Dean's been involved in this community for several years. We know what kind of business he runs. He runs a tight ship. He's been involved in a lot of events, and we've never had an issue with any of his businesses. But I'm sure if you got a complaint, you can just walk over there and talk to Dean, and he'll take care of it.
And in the Liquor License Review Committee, actually, the Chief of Police brought up parking as a concern and issue, and really worked through those issues with the applicants. So we're not anticipating any problems, but certainly we want to hear from you if you observe that type of situation in your community. So.
A motion would be in order.
I would move that we recommend the Michigan LCC approve the request from Dino Drop, Inc., DBA My Brew, for a new replacement Class C liquor license under MCL 436.1521A, Sub 1, Sub B, to be located at 177 Vester Street, Ferndale, Oakland County, Michigan, above all others, and to require the applicant to obtain any other necessary licenses from the state, including the SDM endorsement.
I support that.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Lennon. Now, comments, questions of council?
Well, I'm really impressed with the design of the redevelopment of the front of the house. It really is going to add some an injection of character along that street. And so I also know that if there is any parking issues that arise, that the city will definitely look at trying to resolve that immediately. So I'm not too concerned about not being able to respond to any changes that occur after all this great input was put in there by the committee. But I do have a question.
Sure.
Let me just get this clear. You can carry out beer and wine? Like you can.
You always could.
You always could?
Yeah.
Growler.
Oh, I guess so. I've just never thought of it as carry out. I don't know why.
Take away the traveler.
Well, and I guess I would just add, it makes it somewhat easier for us to review these when you are dealing with someone who has an established business in town that has, as Mike said, run a tight ship. We've never had any problems at Dino's. Dean, you've been a great business owner here, and so we expect nothing less from this, and we'll be on you if it is less. But I expect that it'll be as a tight a ship as Dino.
At least it won't be Scott.
That's right.
And before I leave, Scott,
Sure.
I pretty much started my business in November of 2001. Started construction, so you and I have been together through your entire honorableness.
Yes.
So it's been fun to work with you and watch the city and watch the city council grow over the last 12 years. Congratulations and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dean. Great business.
Thanks.
Thanks. All right, any other comments? Sherlyn, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is approved. Thanks, Dean. Now moving on, the next item of business would be call to audience. Call to audience is up to 30 minutes now and more time if needed at the end of the meeting to talk about anything that's not on the agenda and not about Scott. Well, we'll let you talk about Scott if you want. Because you can talk about items on the agenda when we get to that portion. So 3 minutes to speak on whatever you would like. Come on up, give us your name and address if you're comfortable doing that. If not, write it on the sheet in the back for the city clerk. Yes, Sherry Wells.
Sherry Wells, 315 West Troy. And there's already been an introduction to what I'm going to say, which is wonderful. Although the first thing I wanted to say is there was one of the businesses was having a little holiday gathering, and at least two of us were talking about the fact, it was a couple days ago when we'd already had the snow dumped on, that you can tell when you're in Ferndale because the roads are cleaned up a lot more than anywhere else. So
that's true.
Please take that back to your folks. The city, the DDA, the library, the school district, all of them function with volunteer citizen commissions and committees in addition to those of you on the elected boards and stuff. The city's website online has most of the boards and commissions listed, and also has an application form. And on pages 3 and 4 of the application is a list of the different criteria. And most of these are staggered terms so that people can still have some wisdom on there while new people are being able to get in. Although we have a lot of situations where people have been on there for many, many, many years. And but if there aren't enough citizens wanting to help the turnover, then, you know, they certainly are wonderful to stay. I have noticed that women are not doing their share for the boards and commissions, because when I looked at the website a few weeks ago, there were 40 men and 13 women on those that were listed with rosters. So I invite women to look at that, pages 3 and 4 of the application, see all of these different experiences that they've already had, and fill out some applications on the boards and commissions. Most of these are one meeting a month. Some of them are as needed, which may be just once a quarter. But this is something where we need to give Mayor Coulter and the council some opportunities to place women on the boards and commissions, even more. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address City Council this evening? Good evening.
Paul Kish, 707 West Hazelhurst. Scott Galloway, I don't know who you are. We've never talked. But I do know several council meetings ago that you, when you were talking about leaving here, you got tears in your eyes. I know you are a sincere person. And I know you're an honest person. So I congratulate you on that. I am honored to have met you.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that.
And I wish you all a Merry Christmas.
And the same to you, Paul. Thank you. Anyone else like to address council this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on the agenda to the next item of business is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda we adopt in one motion unless something is removed by council. Keep in mind, we have already removed item B permanently from that. Let me read the consent agenda for a moment. Item A is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held November 25th, 2013. Item C is the approval of a special event permit for the barbecue rib burnout number 7 on Saturday, February 1st from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. as detailed in the council action summary. D is the approval to pay the invoice from Marine City Nursery Company in the amount of $18,452 for landscaping materials at the Kenton Pocket Park and to charge the expense to the Major Streets Fund. Item E is the approval of a license agreement with Grenadier Properties to install a parking station on their property at the east end of the Withington parking lot as submitted by our Chief Innovation Officer. Item F is the approval of the expenditure of $15,000 to $18,000 to install a Cat6 cabling for the purpose of enhanced security for the police department to be taken from the Drug Forfeiture Fund. Item G is the approval of the expenditure of $47,698 for the purpose of installing a security system for the police department to be taken from the Drug Forfeiture Fund. Item H is the approval to accept a bid from Furno for a 59T Easy Glide with a headrest for $2,703.35 to be charged to medical expenses. And finally, item I, approval of the bills and payroll is submitted by the City Manager's Office, subject to the review of the Council Finance Committee. What is Council's pleasure on the consent agenda this evening?
I would move that we adopt the consent agenda as presented by the mayor.
I support.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Piana. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda this evening? Shirley, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item A is consideration to recommend Christine Paduska and Kyle Durant as candidates for the Ferndale Youth Assistance Board. and their resumes, applications, I should say, were in the council packet. I don't know if either of those two folks are here today. It doesn't appear that they are, but I would entertain a motion on that.
Let me see if I can find it, Mayor. Getting close to kickoff here.
I know there's my brother in the front.
He's waiting patiently.
I would move that we approve the appointment of Christine Paduska and Kyle Durant to the Ferndale Youth Assistance Board for the specified terms.
Support.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Piana. Any discussion? Only that we thank you for your willingness to serve, and we talk about boards and commissions, and this is another great opportunity for folks to serve. One of whom is a female, I just point out, so that's a great thing. So appreciate both of their willingness to serve on that board. Sherilyn, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Item B is the consideration to recommend to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission approval of the request from B Nectar LLC for a new microbrewer license to be located at 1481 Wordsworth, Suite B, Ferndale, Oakland County, Michigan. Sherilyn, are you going to introduce that item?
Sure, I could do that. This is just more excitement in Ferndale and other business doing well and wanting to add to what they're already doing. This is a new microbrewer license. It added to their small winemaker license at the same address, not making any changes to the existing structure. This is just to allow them to use different beer-related ingredients in their products. Public hearing's not necessary. This is not an on-premises license.
It's not an on-premise. That's
exactly.
correct.
And I've been working in conjunction with the Community and Economic Development Department. Everything is in order at the establishment. They've got their certificate of occupancy, and they're in compliance with all of our ordinances.
Excellent.
Dan, you're satisfied?
I am.
If Dan's satisfied, I'm satisfied.
That's right. And for the public's knowledge, on-premise meaning no individual sales, no people coming in off the...
No consuming
no
on
consuming
the premises.
on the premises. This is to manufacture, not to consume.
Exactly.
That's correct. Is there a motion by the part of council?
I move to recommend to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission approval of the request from B Nectar LLC for a new microbrewer license to be located at 1481 Wordsworth, Suite B, Ferndale.
Support.
Moved by Piana, supported by Galloway. Other discussion?
Just really excited that our businesses are expanding. And I also wanted to ask, was this the result, the liquor license, the changes to the MLCE rules this year? I know they did a big overhaul of their, and I was just wondering, is this the result that businesses have more opportunities to expand?
I could not answer that.
I'm not sure. We can find out.
Yeah, I would echo. It's nice to see this business expanding. They've been very successful. And again, what I said earlier is that it's helpful when you have an established business that has a great track record, and they've done a great job in that location, and so I wouldn't anticipate anything different here. So I'm happy to support it. Any other comments? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Councilmembers Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. And our last item this evening, item C, is a consideration of the interlocal governmental agreement between the City of Oak Park and the City of Ferndale Recreation Departments. And our recreation director is on maternity leave, although she has not given birth,
No,
last
she has
I heard.
not. Have we heard anything more? No, so she's still... No.
All right, so we're still waiting. But April, why don't you introduce that item
Yes.
for us?
Over the last few years, the City of Oak Park and the City of Ferndale have had a great relationship with the Recreation Department, but it's been actually even more so in the last year and a half. Kristen Spiller, as the Director of Recreation there, became the Director almost at the same time that Jill did. And with that, both of them started meeting, and we're starting to do events together, started looking into further programming that we could do together to try to encourage both municipalities to expand their recreation services without, with both having budgets that were very tight. It's been going very well. They started doing events such as the Mommy and mom and son dance and the father-daughter dance. I think the Tigers game is another one they've done together, and they have gone very, very well. This is just the next step. And really working together to create an agreement that encourages, again, that expansion of recreation by allowing both residents of each community to participate in events and use facilities that are in each other's community for resident rates. And this is another way to partner. We're very excited. This means that this includes the pool. And I don't know, for those of you who have been to Oak Park Pool, it's a beautiful pool. And that means we can now use that at resident rates, and they can come and use our Kulik Center and things of that nature. So it's another step toward, again, increasing that recreation opportunity with both neighboring communities. I know Jill's been working really hard on that, and I'm really bummed that she wasn't able here to present that, but it's been a great relationship that both Kristen and Jill want to continue, and this is just a great formalization of what's actually been happening over the last couple of years. So they're going to do a lot of promotion this winter and the rest of the winter and spring to encourage both neighboring communities to be able to participate in those recreation programs. We're very excited to provide and present this interlocal agreement with City Council, and I believe that Oak Park is doing that either next week or the first meeting in January. Sarah, do you know? Yeah, I think it's the first meeting in January. So I don't know if there's any questions, but again, good work by Jill and her staff and the willingness of Oak Park staff as well.
It's an exciting opportunity. Like you said, it's sort of happened informally in different ways, but we're really working hard to formalize relationships with our neighbors that make sense, and this is one where we can share recreation opportunities. I know that on the Blue Ribbon Parks Commission, pool did come up. Guess what? We don't have the funds for a pool, but and Pleasant Ridge just for some reason doesn't want us over there. We still love you, but Oak Park, the pool is included, so I think that's the fun news, and I think residents will really enjoy taking advantage of that and the other recreation opportunities they have, and vice versa. We welcome the residents of Oak Park to use ours as well. So, yeah.
April, does this meet the standards set up in Lansing for sharing services?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Absolutely?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Any comments?
Well, I just wanted to, council almost 2 years ago said be creative in finding a way to save money and expand services, and this really is sort of the result of the 2 years working with Oak Park, and definitely a change of leadership over there has made it possible to look at things very differently in terms of partnerships. And so I really appreciate the City of Oak Park for entertaining this type of agreement with us and the use of the pool, among other types of activities. So I move to approve the interlocal agreement, government agreement, and authorize the mayor to designate to sign the contract. Thank you.
Support.
Moved by Piana, supported by Galloway. Any other discussion? All right, Sherilyn, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. And Mayor Pro Tem Piana, I'm going to ask you to, if you would, to take us through the call to audience and call to council and adjournment. I have to be somewhere.
All right.
Yeah, I blew it, didn't I?
All right. Next on the agenda is call to council. I think we usually start with the police chief. Anything, chief? Come on down.
I don't know where exactly the mayor is going to, so I'll be very brief. I don't think I have any place to go this evening. But we would like to wish everyone a happy holiday, and especially on behalf of the police department, thank Scott Galloway for his support over the many, many years that I've dealt with him on the Police and Fire Board and on City Council. Always been a supporter. Not always agreed with him, but pretty much he always won, too. So he was always a good adversary. But we will miss you, Scott. When it counted, you were always on our side, and we always appreciated the support.
Thanks, Chief.
Chief Sullivan.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd also like to congratulate Councilman Galloway on his way out. A short story, when I first started, I thought, we're going to bang heads here, but after we had some in-depth conversations and that, I realized this is a man who is searching for excellence from department heads in the departments, and that we agreed on. So we bonded and had I think, a very productive relationship, and you are going to be missed. But I appreciate all your help and all the endeavors we've been working on together. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief, for all you do.
I'd also like to say to the public, there's a lot of information out. I won't spend the time reading it as I did at the Pleasant Ridge Commission meeting, but there's a lot of fire safety things that have come out in recent research, things that firefighters have thought in the last few years, and Underwriter Laboratories and NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technologies, have put these fires after people have died in them into testing labs and recreated the fires. A person is hurt in the United States about every 30 minutes with fire. Fire can go from 250 degrees to 1,500 degrees in just seconds with the plastics we have in our society. Plastics are basically solidified petroleum products. So the more plastics we have, the more dangerous it is. We are pushing in coalition efforts to get sprinklers into homes as local codes nationally and across the state, and hopefully one day we'll be able to do that. Currently, your smoke detector, properly working with a good battery in it, may not give you enough warning time to get out alive of your own home on fire. So that is how fast fire can move in today's society. So I would encourage anyone to go on to the UL website. They have all kinds of information on there, and it is really helpful to know about that. Also, it is the holiday season, and any of those celebrating Christmas that decide to have live trees, that's important to keep them babies watered and hydrated, because if they get dried up, they can overheat and light. And I would suggest to go green to LEDs because they don't create the heat and they don't create the electronical hazards that other lighting systems do, plus they save you on your energy bill. Everybody have a wonderful holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. DPW Director.
Just very quickly, with Council's permission, I'd like to publicly thank the DPW employees who responded to the snowstorm. They worked throughout the weekend, almost straight through, and in fact some of the plow drivers actually slept in the truck so that they could be available for the upcoming shifts. So and really that with the support of the city manager's office and council is really what makes it possible, because you guys provide the resources so that we can do the work that we do. So thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment to remind people that there was a snow emergency, and so that means you need to remove your vehicles. So if you're a little upset of having to shovel out your car a little bit more, that's because the streets are supposed to be vacant of cars during 8 inches of snow, which qualifies as a snow emergency. 4 inches of snow. I think we had 8, though, right? I don't see Derek. Jenny? HR?
Good evening. Just a really quick couple things. An update to our Weight Watchers program. We began 3 weeks ago with our 6th session and have the most participants we have yet to have in our program. We currently have 29 people enrolled in our program, and in the first 2 weeks, our team has lost approximately 70 pounds. With our new team that we have in place. So we've got a great momentum going. People are really excited. A lot of new people, so the buzz is going around City Hall. Additionally, we brought to council about a year ago the idea to collaborate with some of our local communities, specifically Madison Heights, Hazel Park, and Royal Oak, on an idea of an employee-sponsored health and wellness clinic. We did some feasibility studies over the last year, and we actually just put out a bid that's gone out on Mitten to receive quotes for the management company to let us know really what this would look like. And so we'll be bringing that information back to council just as soon as we have that all put together. So, thank you.
Excellent. City Clerk, Sherilyn?
I just want to say, Scott, it's been an honor and a privilege, and thank you for bringing me on board here.
Yeah, it's been a great addition. Superstar. Thanks.
Sarah, did you have anything for recreation? She's.
Oops,
It's
sorry.
okay. I was going to grab you. Sarah's the Jill for the next couple of months.
Sorry, Sarah.
Hello. We have our winter break camp that's coming up next week. The deadline is this Wednesday, so it's ages 5 to 12 years of age, and we have a trip that's planned for both days. So they're either going to go to bowling or to the Warren Indoor Water Park. So hopefully we'll get some kids signed up for that and keep them busy while they're not at school. And our free class preview is January 25th from 9 to noon, and they can come in and take a look at the classes that we run, and the instructors will give a 30-minute free session so they can kind of look to see if that's what they want to do. If it is, then they can register and basically save some money that day. So that's what we have going on. Happy holidays to you all, too.
Thank you very much. April.
Sure. Just a few things. Just a friendly reminder over the next 2 weeks before you bundle up and come to City Hall that there is a reduction in hours due to the holidays. Next week, the week of the 23rd, we will be closed Tuesday and Wednesday in celebration of the Christmas holiday, and we are closed on Fridays. And then the following week, December 30, again, closed again on Tuesday and Wednesday due to the New Year's holiday, and we are normally closed on Friday. So please check our website or call first before you come in. I know it's cold and I hate for people to come in and have this closed. And Scott, I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with you. You and the mayor took me out to dinner the night I got appointed, and I thought this guy is going to be rough. And, you were, but in a good way. You became my measuring stick. And as I bring forward things to council, I always think about what is Scott going to ask, and I will miss that. It's been a great pleasure to have that and to know that that you made me think harder and smarter as I presented things to City Council. And so I'm going to be interested to see who's my new measuring stick, but you were great, and you will be missed. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dan?
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. I was going to comment to council about the status of some medical marijuana bills in the House, but that will wait until January. Scott, I know that you know probably as well as I do the text of the Charter and Code of Ordinances before me, and I know that you know what Chapter 3, Section 38 says, which is the oath of office. And it indicated that every officer shall, before he enter upon the duties of the office, subscribe and fill with the clerk an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and faithfully perform the duties of his office to the best of his ability. And from my perspective, you have ably performed your duties and your oath. I have appreciated and respected your ability to get informed on the important issues that have come before council, and then provide a reasoned position with respect to your particular take on those issues. And I think you have served your city well. And I wish you the best of luck going forward, and I appreciate your friendship.
Thanks, Dan.
Everybody else, have a great holiday.
Councilman Lennon?
I just want to say, Lloyd, good work by your department this weekend. And Chief Collins, good work on a couple incidents by your department also in the last few days. And Chief Sullivan, want to wish all your guys over there a Merry Christmas. Tell them to be safe. Scott, we can talk all the time. Yeah. Former colleague, always a friend. Absolutely. Okay. All right. And Merry Christmas to all. Happy and safe, prosperous New Year, and shop Ferndale. Thank you.
And I'm going to give you the last word tonight. I just wanted to thank the DDA for a really nice holiday ice festival. A lot of kids came to see Santa on their sleds, and it was adorable to watch. And so I thought it was a great event, and you can't always predict the weather to get people to come shop in the downtown. So I'm glad that everybody who did come out and battle the snow and ice, I appreciate that. And then Scott, everybody has said awesome things about you tonight, and I'm just so sad you are not going to be up here sitting next to me at every council meeting and helping behind the scenes, kind of like sort of like the foundation of the trust nerve of council, and it's just going to be really sad to have you gone. So I wish you forth of happiness, spending more time with your family, and doing the things you love.
Thanks. Well, this is goodbye. So this has been a great 12 years. Really, the people who I've surrounded myself with, I think, for the rest of my life, came about through some connection with City Council. My law partner, Howard Collins, was my first campaign manager. My best man at my wedding, Scott Helmer, I met through Dave Lennon, who should be up here, should be around. It's I'm going to miss you guys. So I just wanted to to touch on my campaign lit again. There's just a paragraph here at the end that I think is as true today as it was in 2001, and just wanted to read that sort of going out. The piece read, Ferndale has come a long way in the last decade, but we have much work left to do. The future holds many challenges for Ferndale, but together we can meet them and make our city even better than it is today. I want to thank everybody for giving me a chance to serve up here, but perhaps most of all I want to thank my wife, Robin, for making the sacrifices to allow me to do what I love. So, thanks. And with that, the meeting's adjourned.
Scott, can I take a picture of you? Can I take a picture before you all take off? Yeah.